There are a lot of things in this country that have gone for a song that they should not have happened. Even right now, as we speak, when you look at our free economic zone in the Indian Ocean, the tuna, if you look at the map of tuna in the Indian Ocean is virtually barren except for the East African coast, and especially the Kenyan coast because of the big rivers which flow into the Indian Ocean through the Tana and what have you. The tuna, the epicenter of the tuna is in the Kenyan waters. But do we have an industry around that? No. We are just licensing people to come and fish and take all that fish around and say it's worth billions and billions, trillions of shillings, much more than what we are producing on the land, but we're not benefiting. So there's a lot that is wrong in this country, and we must come up with a resource map of this country and find out what these resources are doing for us. As I said at the beginning, the challenge of leadership is to convert resources into wealth. We cannot continue being poor, yet we are sitting on a very big resource base. When we went to school in my time, we were being taught that there were no resources, there were no minerals in this country. Yet it was a lie. We were being fed a lie so that we could not know what we were sitting on. It's now that we are beginning to see that there's a lot of minerals. You are talking of Jacob Juma and the mining at the coast. What I wanted to tell you is that Kotek, Jacob Juma found the information about Kotek in my office. When he was coming to do some work in my office, he used to come and do work in my office. So when he came to my office one time and he got somebody given a small write-up on those minerals, because something was happening at the ministry. That's how he got involved in the whole industry and whatever. So there's a lot in this country that is not known. And time to complain is not now. We must now stop and begin organizing ourselves to make sure that we do a resource map of this country. Our free economic zone in the Indian Ocean is about 3 times the landmass of Kenya. We don't know what is in there. And if we know, a few people know and are hiding it. So we need to make a deliberate decision that we get a government that will come up and say, let us map the resources in this country. Let us know what is where, and then see what is the best way to utilize this resource. What we can't utilize effectively, we leave in the ground for that generation that can utilize it to come and utilize it. But right now, we are being led and being fed a lie. When I went to school, I knew that Kenya did not have minerals. It was taught in school. But we are learning that Kenya is overendowed with minerals of all nature. The other day you saw, I think somewhere in Nyeri or wherever, I read a story that Rwandese had been buying.
All right.
Some metals there, which later turned out to be very expensive metals. Hello?
Can I interject?
Hello?
Polo, are you there?
I'm being heard.
Polo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you there, Polo?
Yeah,
okay, okay, so okay, let's hold on a bit. Just hold on. That person, Polo, that person who Okiya is saying they. Can we get that person? Can we get that person? Inatakana tumsalimie vivyo because that is the way to deal with these people. Tuwasalimie.
Tunahitaji kusalimiwa. Salamu kidogo tu. Tupatie namba yake. Tumusalimie. Tunenge namba.
Hello, did you hear me?
Wanahitaji shikamoo. Wengine wanahitaji kusalimiwa. Tabia zingine zinataka salamu. Akiana akikushinda tutumie namba yake. Na wengine sio salamu ya mdomo peke yake. Wengine wanataka makofi shangwe na vigelegele. Wacha nikwambie Maina, tupatie namba yake tumusalimie. Salamu tu tunenge namba yake mtuketi. Tumusalimie. Akede. Watu mketi achile kilo mwana. Mtu ametulia. Labda amesalimiwa asubuhi. Kuna kengine kalini sinya sana. Pakiao nilikapeleka ndeti ya jioni, akakuja na mademu wengine watano, wakakuruka kama watu wana mangeto, alafu waka
There's a problem with internet from my side and also from the post. I don't know what's going on. Is there a problem? There's a loss of coordination. Edgar, is there a problem? Yes, I can't hear anyone. I can't
hiyo imeingiliwa hiyo. Hiyo
see anything. The space is dropping on and off. I don't know what's going on.
Your connection is very unstable, Eric.
I'm also experiencing a lot of that dropping on my end.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. Those are just setbacks. I'm sorry for that. Today I have also another speaker from Zimbabwe. His name is Tendo. And Tendo, how are you? Welcome. We are talking about Kenya and its resources. I'm sure you've heard that the young generation of this country have gone to the streets to demand what belongs to them. Are you there, sir? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I've been listening to what has been said. And I thought the most ironic thing that was said was by the gentleman who spoke previously about how you guys were taught that there are no minerals in Kenya. And ironically, that is the very same thing that we were taught everywhere else in Africa. And I was annoyed when and that we about Kenya so many different ways. So yes, I'll let you carry your information.
Edgar gone. I've lost my space. I can't say it.
Anybody beside that.
Not sure if I'm the only person who's lost the speakers. Kimani, can you hear anyone?
Yeah, I'm here, but ni network ya Eric na ya this Rutendo guy hizo ndizo zina bluffer. Maybe you can leave and come back.
Oh,
Rutendo
yeah,
sikusikia.
Rutendo, we can barely hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Edgar? Cyprian?
Yes, we can hear you, Eric.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I think I exited and then I came back. So maybe we can give Rutendo 3 to 5 minutes to tell us his thoughts on seed sovereignty in Africa, what he has been doing, and why, as Kenyans, we need to be concerned about us losing our livestock, our food, and how politicians have sold us to the highest bidder. Rutendo.
I think he has been having connectivity issues. He has dropped to refresh his internet so that he can rejoin again.
Okay, we continue where we had left from before there was this disconnection and disorganization. I think Polo was talking to Okiya about Kwale. That's where I was last. I don't know if that conversation ended. I don't know.
Yes, I'm not sure if it did end, but let me just circle back on that. Now, what was happening? Mr. Omutatah was talking about titanium. Well, I was talking about niobium. They're two very different minerals and very prices zao zinavary. So the one I'm more interested in is the niobium. I want to understand why has it not been extracted or mined? Nini tumekosa? Unataka kuniambia a country like Kenya, which is probably, countries like Uganda and Tanzania look up to us. We cannot be able to finance our own industries and utilize these minerals that we have. Imagine unajua 300 billion USD, hiyo ni pesa ngapi bana? Hiyo ni matrilioni bana. That is just one mineral, niobium. And then we go to places like like Kitui. Kitui, as I understand right now, it has coal, and you know what the white man has been doing now. America in its industrialization period, America has used coal for about 250 years. But now they come here in Kenya and tell us, mnajua ni aje, nyinyi hamfai kutumia coal yenu juu mnaharibu climate. Juu sisi a country like Kenya, we don't have our own system where we can be, you know, after minerals like gold have been extracted, hakuwezi kuwa na like an open market system where the miner will get his share, the government will get its share, the county government gets its share, the national government its share, and the, you know, mwenye ule wa kuexport apate share yake. I want to understand why the white man keeps telling us. The other time I said all mining licenses should be revoked. But I know sponsored comments when I see them, and hizo ndo mnapatanga nimezificha huko kwa hidden replies because they are kuna vile wanacheza na psychology, they want to devalue the weight of your statement, so they come here and say you know, mining industry si mchezo, it's not child's play like you think. It requires a lot of capital, it requires a lot of and some other bullshit they mentioned. But I want to understand, nini ngumu hapo? Kwani hawa students wako universities zetu wenye wanafanya industrial chemistry, mnataka wafanye nini? Mnataka wende wakuwe mboch kwa hizi kwa hizi ma country Ruto wanasema tuende through a website, which by the way doesn't work, it's shit. You press the sign up and you keep going in circles, it doesn't work at all. I want us to understand. I really want to understand. Nini mbaya? Why can't we do these things for ourselves? Why do we need the white man? Why do we allow what has happened? Why have we been in an invisible prison that we have been put by the British, by the white man, about conservancies and shit, whereas there's a lot more that has been going on for a very, very, very long time, and we never actually got to know what has been happening. Actually, let me just say this: courtesy of Ruto's recklessness and the kiherehere and tamaa, a lot has resurfaced, which I'm very, very napenda vile hii story inaenda, because I'm sure it's not just about the minerals. This is just a CIA guy called Ian Cox today said I'm telling half truths with Q and Americs. So if this is the half truth, then what the hell? How ugly is the whole truth? Now, I don't even know what I was asking, but nasikia
Kimani,
damu inachemka sana.
Okay, wacha Okiya kujibu.
can I, because my question will just walk into what
Okay, ni nani?
Paulo Kimani was talking about.
Ni nani?
Oh, ni Lewis.
Okay,
Lewis.
sawa.
So even as we have conversations here on this space, it's very interesting to me that when we ask our elected representatives questions, they respond in the language of activism. They say we should, for example, Salasia said we should have a legal framework. Will tell us that we lost an opportunity, but nothing happened from it. Can we have proactive feedback? You could come and tell us, this is what should happen. This is what I'm willing to do at my level, and this is what I'm willing to follow up on at this level, because all of us cannot be on this space raising issues. Because when we raise an issue and we say people are being oppressed because of ABC mining company, as an elected representative, part of your feedback should not be to come and tell us, I'm also aware that that is happening and this happened and it's so sad and we move on. Can we have a bit more proactive responses from our elected representatives? Because that would be a lot more useful. Otherwise, this is just a waste of time.
Great. Senator Okiya, maybe tell us about this issue of Kwale, the issues raised by Paul Kimani.
Now huyo ni kama network yake imepotea, but let me mention, wacha ni mention kitu ya kuongeza ya kuchemsha watu damu zaidi. You know, by the information I'm receiving right now from anonymous DMs, which by the way I delete after reading them, so hata mkikuja kunishika mtapata shit. I understand that Migori County alone inapata in its gold mining activity, per day they get about 30 kilograms of gold, pure gold. So kufanya tu hesabu kidogo, 1 gram of gold, pure gold, is about 9,000 shillings, 8,000 shillings. So ukipiga hiyo hesabu, 1 kg is about 8 million. So like 8 million times 23 kgs, that's like 240 million per day. Hii ndio yote inaenda wapi? And Ruto is busy there telling us we need to live within our own means. And now that I've mentioned Ruto, do you know in a country, in a place called Lolgorien, pale kuna gold mob sana, in Narok. But this guy, actually, he has, naambiwa pale kuna chungwa na RD, Rapid Deployment Unit, RDU. This is a very serious squad that is supposed to be dealing with criminals. Wamazia ameweka masoja pale wanachunga shamba. Nini iko pale? If not gold, what is wrong with this guy? That's why even when we were starting this space, I said, tamaa huyu jamaa ako nayo, mimi hata it's like drinking salty water, ocean water. Unajua, the more you drink, the more you become thirsty. This guy is drinking thirsty water or is drinking salty water from the ocean. Huyu jamaa tamaa iko nayo, hata sijui, hata Mungu anajua anakaanga hivi chini, anasema na hii mtu niliundia wapi? Kuna glitch mahali ilifanyika. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. We are tulifanya makosa kubwa sana, and I regret it every night. Saa zingine hata naamka saa 8 usiku kuklik because of how angry I am, remembering that with all the shit we are going through, you know we are supposed to be like a small African Japan, but because of these guys we are living in abject poverty. Niko na hasira sana, wacha nikunywe maji ya chumvi kwanza, Mr. Eric.
Aya, sawa. Rutendo, karibu sana. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Good evening to everybody. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you are clear.
Excellent, excellent. So I was just saying before I came in that it's ironic that you are talking about the fact that some of you guys in school were educated that Kenya did not have any minerals, because that is the very same education system we also received elsewhere in Zimbabwe and other African countries, was that Kenya was not rich in mineral resources. And then when I came on the ground, it was a totally different story. And the number of minerals that are being found, including oil, was very shocking. And so the question that we are always having to ask as Africa is, are we being taught the right information in our schools? However, I really don't want to dwell on that today. I wanted to dwell on the aspect that as Africans, we are talking about minerals consistently throughout the African continent. And we're always talking about how these minerals can develop Africa and take us to the point that we want to get to. But ironically, what is happening on the African continent is, while we talk about all these minerals, we forget the most important resource on the continent. And those are the resources of seeds, together with land and water resources. As most Africans are most interested, even in Zimbabwe, we're mostly interested in the gold. We're mostly interested in the platinum and so-called valuable resources, not realizing that the seed is actually the most valuable resource. And once you run out of that, then you are a doomed people. And so many people find it difficult to relate to what I'm talking about. So I always give the example of a documentary which I will eventually plaster the link here that talks about how it is that Europe, the most important vegetable in the world and the most bought vegetable in the world is tomatoes. And right now in Europe, tomatoes are the most expensive seed sold in Europe, because of the fact that the companies that are in Europe, particularly a company called Lima Grain, that is the owner of Seedco, that is currently distributing a lot of seeds in Africa without a bad name like Monsanto, yet it is actually just as dangerous as Monsanto, is the leader of selling tomatoes in Europe. And the tomatoes in Europe are sold from 60,000 euros a kg all the way up to 400,000 euros a kg. Lima Grain itself produces the very same seed in India for 200 euros a kg, and then they sell it for 60,000 to 400,000 a kg. Now, for those of you who will understand, 60,000 US dollars euros a kg is almost the same price as a kg of gold. And so the question is, if we are to allow these seed companies to continue destroying our seeds, destroying the ability of those seeds to reproduce, then what is it going to do to Africa when we reach the point that Europe has reached with tomatoes, that we now have to pay the price of a kg of gold for our mealie meal to create our ugali. Another thing that also bothered me a lot when I was in Kenya, another thing that affected me a lot when I was in Kenya is the fact that everywhere I went and looked for ugali made from millet, ugali made from teff, or anything else, I couldn't find it. The majority of the ugali that was being eaten, that is from Dandora, from city center, all the way out into the outskirts of Kenya, I was only finding white ugali. And white ugali is one of the regulated grains in Kenya, according to your seed production act, that is limiting local farmers from sharing seeds and limiting local farmers from developing their own seeds. You are limited to only getting those seeds to be grown by companies that have been licensed by the government because it is a strategic crop. Now I'm beginning to understand that even beyond strategic crops, the Kenyan government doesn't want farmers to share seeds. And if they do, they're criminalized because they should buy all seeds from registered companies that produce what are called tried and tested varieties of seeds or high quality seeds, which are generally hybrids. And now you've just had the signing over of GMOs into the country. And so this is an issue that I was wondering if Kenyans understand the crisis that they're in with the control of this resource, which could eventually affect their ability to control other resources, because the person that will be controlling your seed will then be able to use that seed to get control over other mineral resources, because you will not be able to grow your own food and become dependent on the seeds of other countries. And if you go to war with those countries, if you have a difference with those countries, if you have a trade issue with those countries, they could simply deny you their seeds until you give them land, until you give them mineral resources, or until you give them compliance. So let's give an example with what you guys have been doing now. You've been protesting, you're not happy with the president, you're not happy with some of the policies that he was supposed to acquiesce to in order to satisfy the IMF. So if the IMF is unhappy, it would ask all the companies that are giving you the seed that is being used to make that white ugali to stop giving you seeds, and immediately there's starvation. And when there's that starvation, they can then force you, the people of Kenya, to accept certain rules, to accept the payment of the IMF, or you simply don't get seeds and then there'll be further starvation. They could do that with wheat. They could do that with any other staple of Kenya because they control the seeds. Not only do they control the seeds, but when you have GMO seeds, what we have discovered here in Zimbabwe is we've been testing the food. One of the companies whose food we've been testing is also present in Kenya. There's Chicken Licken, Chicken Inn, Baker's Inn, Creamy Inn. Those companies are from Zimbabwe, a company called Simbisa Brands. In Zimbabwe, we've discovered that Simbisa Brands is bringing in GMOs into Zimbabwe, yet GMOs are banned for human consumption in Zimbabwe. And even for animal consumption, you can only import maize, and that maize must be imported from South Africa. But when we've been testing their animal feed, we have found other GMOs that are not authorized to come into the country. And so they've been having these GMOs in our mealie meal. They're having these GMOs in our bread, having these GMOs in their pork feed, chicken feed, and even their chicken products that they sell in Chicken Inn. We have found GMOs, MSG, and glyphosate. Glyphosate being a chemical that goes hand in hand with GMOs. When the Kenyans were being when certain Kenyans were promoting the proliferation of GMOs into Kenya, the one thing they kept telling Kenyans is, it is a lie that GMOs do not are sterile. So if you grow it this year, it is a genetic use restriction technology that causes them not to grow next year. And so that was the biggest threat that most Kenyans feared. And a lot of scientists from Kenya came on board saying that particular genetic use restriction technology has never been commercialized by the Americans. But when we were testing our food in Zimbabwe, we found the genetic use restriction technology, or what is called the terminator gene, or NOS terminator gene. The scientists lied. And the question I'm asking is, why would Kenyan scientists lie to the Kenyan people about something as important as the fact that the seeds that they're going to get will not be able to reproduce, or if they do reproduce, they will have a terminator genetic within them that can then be inimical to reproduction of food in future? Why would they not tell people that GMOs generally come in what is called glyphosate ready use, because they work hand in hand with a chemical called Roundup that then leaves residues of glyphosate, which is a cancer-causing chemical that we have found in Zimbabwean food. And when we found it with the GMOs in Zimbabwe, we've also noticed that Zimbabwe, Kenya, South Africa, and Malawi now have the highest cancer rates and the highest cancer death rates in the world, according to the World Health Organization. And just like you said, that they never told you that Kenya's got minerals, they are currently not singing about this high cancer rate that you find in Zimbabwe, Kenya, South Africa, and Malawi. And all these countries happen to consume GMOs. The three consume GMOs from South Africa, and Kenya is consuming GMOs that it is allowed and signed into the country itself. So these are the issues that I wanted us to speak about as Africans. Because as I am fighting this GMO war, I was taken to South African court after complaining about Zimbabwean GMOs in Zimbabwe. The company from Zimbabwe, this Simbisa Brands, which is also in Kenya, took me to South African courts where they do not have any presence, but their shareholders, BlackRock, Vanguard, together with some of the companies like Monsanto that have got cross-shareholding with these BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, who then have ownership in almost all banks in South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe. They obviously had an influence into making sure that these guys take us to South African courts, where they are white-friendly courts, who will then protect their interests. Not only do they protect their interests, but the judges are bought to an extent that they don't even listen to the argument, because right now they're saying I'm defaming them. But defamation can only be a lie. Defamation is only when you've got falsehoods. And I've been giving factual information from lab tests that we've been taking part in, and also factual information based on disclosures they've given in the Zimbabwe court. So I'm in two fronts of courts in South Africa and Zimbabwe. They're buying judges. And you have to realize that once they start buying judges, this thing is bigger than we see. Bill Melinda Gates Foundation is involved. We've got an organization called AGRA, Africa Greening Revolution Alliance, and other institutions of the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the Bill Melinda Gates. Initially, when we talk about these names, it sounds like conspiracy theory, but because I'm in court with these people, and this is my second time being in court with these people after being in court with Strive Masiwa, who sits on the board of the Rockefeller and Rothschild Foundations, I now realize that these people are real. I have fought them in court. I am fighting them now. And their agenda is to take over Africa's food sovereignty. Once they control the food, they control the people, they control the resources. And even the protest that you had last month will not happen if they control the food and they can simply close off food tomorrow. They'll simply starve the population into compliance. So this is what I wanted to say to you and to leave a message to you with.
All right, just hold on. We'll come back to you. Coach Sonko. Coach Sonko, naona hapo unasema mimi nimelipwa, tusiongelee mambo ya protest. So hebu tuambie nimelipwa na nani na kwa nini nimelipwa? Coach Sonko. Naona hapo unasema mimi nimelipwa, tusiongelee mambo ya protest. So hebu tuambie nimelipwa na nani na kwa nini nimelipwa? Mkenya daima. Mbona mnauliza mic, mkipewa mic hamtaki kuongea? Unasema space, tunanyima watu mic. Umepewa mic uongee, hauongei because kuna watu wanataka kuongea.
Looks like they were just testing the waters. I also experienced the same in my space.
Who are they? Are they being sent or something?
Emeritus, this is Senator Onyonka.
Looks like they were just testing
Yes.
the waters.
Can I say a few?
Yes, go on. These are they have chickened out. They have been given a mic and they
Emeritus,
disappear.
this is Senator Onyonka. Can I say a few?
Edgar, can you organize this space? Because sasa these are friends of ours. It's like they're confused.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Amerix.
Amerix,
Wait
can
a
you hear
minute,
me?
Senator. Just a minute, Senator. I'm bringing you on. So, Keoti Sonko, you had your hand up. Amerix alikuwa amekuuliza. You said that they had been told. Senator, just a minute.
Can you hear
You will
me?
come after Keoti Sonko. Sonko. Okay, sawa, hayuko. Senator Onyonka, you can go, and I'm also told that tomorrow you have a show in the morning. Actually, Sonko mana, nimekuita hauongei, then nikitoka kwako unainua mkono. What exactly am I supposed to do? Are you there? Also told that tomorrow you have a show in the morning. Actually, Sonko mana, nimekuita hauongei, then nikitoka kwako unainua mkono. What exactly am I supposed to do?
Edgar, move to the next person. We are wasting time with these ones. Move to the next
Okay,
person.
sawa.
Please. Move to the-
Senator, you can go.